So, bringing things forward, I would like to introduce Pascal, and he's going to talk about how we can foreground the issue of social inclusion of LGBT issues in the European dimension and our next steps. So I'd like to introduce Pascal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Connor, and thank you for inviting me. I was invited to talk about the program, the concrete tool we have at European level to tackle many issues, including the ones we are talking about today. But it is only one of the possible next steps. We have evidence that it is a European problem, and it is fully legitimate to see how the European Union can help tackle the issue of inclusion and the fight against discriminations, notably of LGBT young people. At European level, we have two tools regarding youth issues to have the promotion of young people ensured. We have a policy tool and we have a program tool. Regarding the policy, we have the youth strategy, which includes 8 fields of actions, one of which being inclusion. And we were very happy that this theme be retained by the current trio presidencies as the priority of the 18 months which started with the Irish presidency. Obviously, because of the times we are living in, there has been a strong focus on unemployment when it comes to inclusion issues. But I think that we should pay tribute to the Irish presidency, which also identified other main issues of exclusion currently in Europe. And as was reminded this morning, it's also the case of the structured dialogue, this process of permanently exchanging views with young people on what is important for them at European level, maybe based on this strategy, but this structured dialogue takes place at national level, at local level also. And the sexual orientation and the gender identity were recognized as being one important factor of exclusion in the context of this structured dialogue. So I'm really sure that this topic on the policy side will continue to be pursued. Of course, it is not limited to youth. The study that the Fundamental Rights Agency produced, as we discovered this morning, is not restricted to young people. And this will have to be dealt with also at European level, and notably the Commissioner in charge of justice, I'm sure Mrs. Reding, will be taking account of these findings and ensure that progress be done in this field. Regarding the youth sector specifically, the Dublin principles, in my view, offer a very valid starting point to continue tackling this issue. But now, turning to the program, to the other tool we have to support the fight against discrimination. This should not be neglected, and I would really like you to be particularly aware of these possibilities offered at European level to tackle this problem. Currently, this program is called Youth in Action, and it offers concrete opportunities to young people, but also to youth workers and youth organizations to implement projects which have the double objective of increasing the participation of young people in society, as well as enhancing their skills and competencies, all this through what we call non-formal learning approaches. Enhancing participation of young people in society is also, it includes, of course, enhancing the possibilities offered to young people to share and to promote European values. Somebody this morning talked about European values. This is also what it is about when it comes to the non-discrimination against sexual orientation or gender identity. The fight against discrimination should be one of the main motivations of young people when it comes to building a European society. Inclusion, as a matter of fact, is one of the permanent priorities of the Youth in Action program. It covers a wide range of situations. 3 weeks ago, Mrs. Fitzgerald was in Brussels to give an award to a Youth in Action project which was aimed, it was a Spanish one, aimed at fighting against gender discrimination. So there is a wide spectrum of activities which can be supported in this context, but of course the difficult situation of LGBT people are also subjects that the fight against discrimination should tackle. I've discovered by preparing for this meeting that since 2007, the beginning of this program, close to 200 projects have been supported tackling the issue of discrimination against sexual orientation or gender identity, which means hundreds of organizations involved, and which means thousands of young people or youth workers involved in all these projects. In other words, this is a very concrete way to involve civil society in this topic, and this is what we want to do with such a program. The activities supported were many. They were targeting young people themselves, for example, youth exchanges, making it possible for youngsters to meet their peers for very often a relatively short period of time, some weeks together to share experiences, to share concern, to be all together. But also volunteering possibilities, which means maybe going abroad for up to 1 year, volunteering in an organization tackling the issue of the discrimination, for example, and we have examples of this. But it's not only for young people, it's also for youth workers. In other words, to help the ones who work with young people to find a good way to tackle the issue at their level. Mrs. Fitzgerald this morning mentioned that one of the big achievements of the Irish presidency is council conclusions related to the objective of promoting equality youth work in Europe, offering the possibilities to youth workers, youth organizations, to exchange practices among them is precisely what the program aims at supporting also. And in the topic we are talking about today, I think there is room to have exchanges of views, exchange of practices among people, among youth workers. And we also have in this program actions related to the support to youth organizations. When it comes to this topic, activism in the good sense is also important, and the possibility offered to youth organizations to make the civil society aware of the issues is something that we want to promote. May I have another comment? The situation is difficult in these countries, and we have seen that it's an overall issue in Europe, and the figures provided by the study of the Fundamental Rights Agency are telling about this. The situation seems to be even worse in other parts of our continent, and notably in the eastern countries and in Russia. I mention this because this program, Youth in Action, is open to the participation of youngsters from these countries also. And I would like to invite you also, if we tend to take benefit from this program, not to forget the possibility to involve in your works also youngsters suffering of the same situation in these countries. In other words, it is a program to support personal situations, to involve individuals, but with the objective of having the possibility to make a pressure at national level on policy developments. This program comes to an end at the end of this year, but we have another program coming as of next year. And this program will encompass 3 fields of activities: education and training, youth, and sport. But the main activities currently supported will be maintained, and the international dimension will be maintained, namely possibilities for youngsters to meet, but also possibilities to youth organizations and youth workers to cooperate together, and possibility for the civil society in youth to continue its work of advocacy. Putting together these 3 sectors leads me to an additional comment. I was struck this morning by the importance paid to the situation at school. Putting together education and training on the one hand, and also youth on this other hand, is a way, in our vision, to see how we can improve the situation in formal learning, school, and in non-formal learning, the youth work, at European level, by putting them together and finding altogether some improvements to be put at the disposal of both systems. And having heard this morning on the topics which, and the comments, the testimonies also which were offered, I think that this is surely a field where youth workers and school teachers may benefit from working together, and this is what we want to do with the Future program. I stop here by giving you this message. This program is a tool for you, so use it. There will be more money, so more means in the future, to use this as a tool for all the activities which are needed in the context we are talking about, and notably awareness raising. And as I said, possibly at school as much as out of school, and in the European Union as much as at the borders of the European Union. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Pascal. Some really salient points there. I think the issue of underscoring the idea of Dublin principles as a starting point or a point of departure is really key, about utilising the new programme as a lever for development. And also another key point at the end, the relationship between non-formal education and informal education or learning. That is really key once, I suppose, the integrity of the practices in both domains is respected, but there definitely is learning in that transaction.